So what do you do when you're really tall and you have a short backswing and you're a good golfer and you don't like hitting anything above a 7-iron? You get fit. And that's what Matt did. Matt's from northern Ohio and came down, and he has been a devout supporter of the YouTube channel, and we've had many conversations. In fact, he's visited a few times, and we came up with a set of clubs that I think is going to be very good. And that's what we're talking about. Now, you've seen the build part of it, where, you know, we've put the clubs together. I don't know if it's going to be a 1-day or a 2-day kind of deal, but let's talk about that. So, if you got a guy that's a low handicapper, typically they're a better ball striker, and true, but also a good course manager. And I believe Matt's got both of these in the bag. So I kind of convinced him to move up a little bit and get into a set of clubs that a better ball striker would have. And so we tried it. And, you know, I'm not putting a guy in a set of clubs that he can't hit just because I think he should. We put a guy in a set of clubs that we think he should hit and then test it. And if he does, then all's the better. If not, then we find something else. So that's what we did. And starting from the ground up, Matt liked the Wishon clubs. Okay, Wishon's a good club. So first things first, with the wedges, we've got 2 of the micro groove. There we go, 2 of the micro groove. Now what I like about the micro groove is, you see this extra flare right here? It pulls the center of gravity up more towards the center, so you get I think a solid shot. Also, if you look, it's beveled in the back, so that, especially for around here, for you know, ups and down lie angles, that this thing will still work. Okay, and what did we put in it? Well, we put in the KBS 610 wedge. Okay, the shaft, and I like it just because, well, number one, I like KBS, but I like the wedge shaft. Then we put on the Golf Pride CP2 wrap jumbo to fit him. This is a big guy. So welcome to the Club Makers Cleaning Corner, where we review our builds. So he had a full complement of wedges, and you saw the lob wedge, and he also got a sand wedge in the same model. Now, what we decided on as far as clubs were the 575s. And the 575s come in 2 models. They come in a cavity back and they come in a blade. And I tried to get him into the cavity back all the way down, but he really hit the blade well when it got shorter. So in the A wedge, in the A wedge, we went with the blade style, and I totally believe he's going to hit this. Well, he's going to hit the crap out of it. Now, what did we put in this? All right, now we talked about Matt being a tall guy, and in a future video, you're going to see. Anyway, he ended up being 1.5 inches over standard. So now, what's the problem? Well, you don't want the swing weight to feel like a giant sledgehammer, even if he is a abbreviated backswing. You don't want to feel too heavy, because then the club itself is just so heavy, you get tired at the end of the round. So what we did is we went with the KBS Tour 105, KBS Tour 105 in the stiff. Now this has been a real sweet spot golf club for me, or a golf shaft, in that this thing really does work well, particularly for a guy who releases late and does a pretty good job at striking the ball. So that's what we went with. And then again, we put more of the same of the jumbo grip on. Now, here we go talking about swing weight again. When you go really, really long on swing weight, or really, really long on the golf club, swing weight becomes a thing, right? Because you don't want it to be too heavy. And because as we talked, it's a measure of heft, and we don't want it to be too heavy because it can impact some of the swing. Okay, so what did we do? Well, you know, the jumbo grip is heavy, which impacts the swing weight onto the light, and then the shaft is light, which again makes it down to the light. So we knew it was going to be heavy. It was just how heavier than standard. And as it turns out, by doing this combination, we averaged around a D3. Can you believe that? A D3. Now the wedges are heavier, and that's by design, but the irons came out at D3, which I think is about normal, you know, between D2 and D4. So the fact that you had the Golf Pride Jumbo and the KBS 105 with the standard, and here is the cavity back version of it. These are really good looking clubs. They came out pretty good. So a guy that can have a really long club and not feel like he's carrying around a backpack full of, wrought iron. So I got him past the 8 iron. He's into the 7 iron now. We talked about hybrids. Well, Wishon has a hybrid, right? I clean off the wax here. Alright, let's get it all nice and shiny so you can see it. And this hybrid model set goes down into the 6 iron. So it goes down into the 6 iron, so this fit pretty good. These are the 775s. Let's see if we can see, there we go, a little 775. Again, we talked about it having a smaller sole with a kind of a wing shape right here, and the fact that these guys are bendable, and they look pretty good. See my light reflecting in there? And in here again, we went with the I-Series from ACCRA. The I-Series from ACCRA, and this is the 80 gram, and again with the jumbo grip. And surprisingly enough, these guys, because again lighter shaft, heavier grip, ended up in the D1 range. So it's following right along with the swing weights that people want to have, and so are the total weights. So I'm really happy with the build so far. Then we moved up into the woods, which is this guy, and in this one to marry up is the 929 from Wishon. here's where things start getting interesting. So he hits the ball pretty far, so he really didn't need a 3. So we went with a 5, and I made it a little bit more lofted so he doesn't hit it so high. And then we got a 7. All right, 929, 7. Now you see that? I still have to put a sticker in there, a medallion, but the rest of it looks pretty doggone good. And at the end of the video, you're going to see pictures of it more laid out, so you just don't see this thing flashing across the screen. All right, so this one is the 372T, and what that is you see in here, to get a little bit more of a weave. So it's a little more stable, and so you can really jump on it, which he tends to do. And so it ought to prevent it from being Army golf where it goes right, goes left. It's more down the middle, and he can still hit it pretty hard. All right. Then apparently Matt's been planning. Gave me a couple of TaylorMades to reshaft with the same shafts that we put in all the other clubs that he fit into. And look at the finish. Look familiar? So if you were to look down on all these clubs, you'd think that they were all the same. So that's pretty good. Matt, you did a good job. And again, we put that tour, or the T shaft, which is a tour shaft, in there from the I series. And then we ended up with the slider 9.5, because he comes right into it pretty good. And I got it set maybe just a little bit higher. And then I did something different that I have not done before. And look at that. See that ferrule? Notice how there's no lettering on it? So I took the lettering off. That's a surprise for Matt. I didn't tell him I was doing that. So we're going to see whether or not he does it. Because the reality of it is, once the driver is set, nobody tinkers with it. So I decided, let's make the ferrule look pretty. So all the flexes came out right up onto the upper end of the stiff X-Flex range-ish because of the loading that he does. We bent them to the right line angle, and we should be pretty close to ready to go. And we're going to test them out tomorrow. So Matt, hopefully you'll like it. And we still have yet another surprise. We were going to let Matt build the 6 hybrid, but as the emails were floating around, I'd already put it together by the time he said he could actually commit to it. So we're going to do a little something else. All right, so as you guys saw, we went through the gapping session with Matt and as you saw, it was progressive. There's a few that we had to tweak a little bit, but for the most part, what we did was we went outside, let him hit it so he got comfortable with it. I got to see some characteristics of what was going on with the hybrids because I did not touch those. And if you remember the last video, which you probably see something up here, is that I bent the irons, but I did not bend the hybrids, and they were bendable. Yeah. And so, you know, they were going a little bit left, so I flattened them out, and in the contact got better. So that was the one thing that we wanted to do there. Yeah. So now it's question answer time. All right. Now this goes way back. Now remember, Matt visited us earlier in the year, yes, and came down, and so we'll start with that, the fitting process. Yeah. What'd you think?
The fitting process was unbelievable. I enjoyed the entire time. Now, my thought process on this whole endeavor was to get myself the best clubs that could fit for me. That was the goal. And I came down I think it was right after Easter. Yep. Did the fitting process, which took about a couple hours. It's well worth it. If anybody's thinking about doing something of that nature, go get the fitting done. Now, this process was something that I didn't understand what I was getting myself into, but I really enjoyed seeing the progressions. But you can see that the process is what it is, and I enjoyed every second of it.
So we worked out, and you know, because things change between Easter and now. Yes. So we worked a little bit of a couple of swing things. Yes. Why he thinks I can tell him any of that's beyond me. But yeah, we worked out a few things, right? A couple of hitches. Yes. And as it bears out and you'll see it in my flight scope stuff, is that his swing path is dead solid. Yeah. Dead solid. It's just about face angle. Yeah. And a lot of face angle can be from the actual length of the club, it can be the offset, it can be the flex, it can be your stance, it can be ball placement. And based on the fact that he's very repeatable, it now became tweaking of a little bit of stance, a little bit of ball placement, and then throwing the hand out where you want it to go.
Yeah.
And once we got that, then things really started climbing out there where we wanted it to go.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of the feel of the clubs?
The feel of the clubs is great. During the time after my fitting, I have another set that I had lengthened and put to the right lie angle, which if you're a golfer that's hitting it left or right, that's a huge, huge, huge thing to look at. I was actually playing a degree or two upright, and we brought myself down to about a 1.5 to almost 2 degrees flat. But the grips are perfect. The shafts are perfect. I really like. They're a little bit lighter than what I'm used to, but they felt great in my hands, and the weight of it perfect.
Well,
and if you could see the,
you can see that one, that's what he did. And he did it on a lot of them. So if I pick that one up and then I pick up, and we just move it on down, this is a lob wedge.
Same spot.
And see if you can see it on the lob wedge. It's sitting right about there.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. So, and it goes through that. Now the key is we want to go back to this guy, and on this one, a little bit to the inside, but it's all sitting right there.
Yeah.
So even on the longer ones, that's what we are looking for. We want that consistency of hit so that it provides the confidence is what we're really striving for, right? We're looking for the confidence, and that's for everybody, right? The more confident you are, the more relaxed you become, the better swings that you put on the club.
You gotta be relaxed playing golf.
Yeah, some people use a little bit more than
that.
that.
Still the same spot. It's always been right around.
Yeah. And if we look, and now if we can get him used to doing that, he was a nice tight pattern right there. We need just a little bit more. And I think a lot of that would be from the, it's a little bit of an upright, but, a little more of the swing change and there's there. And that was...
Did you talk about the hosels on there and why we chose those ones to be bendable and all that? Or?
Yeah, that was on the other one. So what he's talking about is on the hybrids, right? And what you saw was on the first video was that I bored them out to accept an actual hybrid shaft. What we do is we check the loft angles to make sure they're right, and then this is also a bendable function this way.
That's why it was chosen.
And it was sitting like that. Here we go. Sitting like that, and when we bent it, now he's soling the club, and virtually from pulling like that to more like that, which is really what we wanted. So we got consistency in the face, we got consistency in the distances, we got he says he likes the feel.
Yes, I need to work with him a lot more, but I'm excited.
And we went, and he was playing game improving clubs, and here he was, a very low handicapper. And we got him into one that has a low in order to help straighten out the pulls. So we should be, pretty good to go, really. And we like the big jumbo grips too. That looks good because, as you notice, he's
big guy,
pretty big guy. We're sitting here like this, and his chair's about half a foot to a foot lower than me.
I get told that all the time.
So. Anything you add? I mean, anything that you tell these folks about fitting?
Anybody that's interested in playing golf or that is very passionate in golf, this is the process that you need to go through. Even if you play once or twice a week, I play twice a week as much as my wife allows me to. And if you're going to play golf, this is what you need to do.
And again, if you guys want to ask any questions, put them down in the show notes below. And, or you can send me the email, clubmaker@mcgolf.net. If you like what you saw, how about liking below? And subscribe and swing and hit that little bell that comes with the subscribe button so that way you can see when everything comes in. And if you want to know more about the KBS or the ACCRA or the Golf Pride or the Wishon, I'll put links in the description below, and you can search or you can just ask me the question. I'll be happy to help you out. And like always, let's see your scores. Go low.